Good morning, everybody. Again, we have live people here, which is such a thrill for me. Jim Mayer, the saxophonist that just played for you, is our opening act, so to speak, here at Unity Temple. And his segment of the service is called Out of the Darkness and Into the Light. And so he starts out in the dark and it comes into the light. But it's very metaphorical of where we're at right now. For the last year, with COVID, we've all had an underlying sense of fear, worry, concern, anxiety about what's going on. We have been in the darkness, and there's been many things that have hampered our peace of mind and sense of well-being. This service is meant to bring us out of the darkness and into the light of greater, more joyful feelings so we can truly celebrate life. I have a few announcements before we begin the service this morning. First of all, the directories are out after 3 years. We've had a real problem with these because the company had to shut down because of COVID and because of this and that. Now, the good news is if you're in this directory, you get one for free. But even the better news is if you're in the directory, you look so much younger, even though it's only 3 years. Another announcement that I have, if you like one of these directories, they're available in the back, or you can give us a call during the week. We'd be glad to mail you one, or you can stop by and pick it up. They turned out just beautiful. We'll now begin the service with the temple chimes, the opening prayer, Geneva Price, and the call to inspiration. Please join with me if you choose. Together. On this day, we dedicate ourselves to peace on earth. We accept ourselves without harsh judgment and express appreciation for our individuality. We live without fear to meet the events of this day with confidence. We accept others without prejudice to experience a sense of unity with all people. We honor our earthly environment and recognize a oneness with all creation. In harmony with ourselves, our lives, other people, and all of nature. We live this day with a peaceful mind, a peaceful heart, and a peaceful spirit. Thank you, God. Amen.
Something within me that holdeth the reins. Something within me that banishes pain. Something within me I cannot explain. All that I know, there is something within.
Good morning. It's a joy to be here. Where does God live? Deep inside of me. Where does joy live? It lives deep inside of me. Tell me, where does love live? Deep inside of me. Oh, where does God live? Deep inside of me. Now, do you feel those good vibrations way down in your heart? We're getting rid of all lamentations with a brand new start. Tell me, where does God live? Deep inside of me. Where does joy live? Deep inside of me. Do you feel it this morning? Where does love live? Deep inside of me. Where does God live? Deep inside of me. We've got to remind each other when it seems there's no way out, we don't have to look any further. I just want to sing and shout, where does God live? Deep inside of me. That's right. Where does joy live? Deep inside of me. Where does love live? Deep inside of me. Don't you know it? Where does God live? Deep inside of me. Oh, so come on, lift up your voices, get on up and clap your hands. It's high time that we remember, oh, we gotta make a stand. Where does love live? Deep inside of me, that's right. Tell me, where does joy live? Deep inside of me right now. Oh, where does love live? Deep inside of me, yeah. Oh, where does God live? Deep inside of me. Inside of me, where does God live? Deep inside of me, yeah, right here, right now.
Thank you. On the piano is Miss Kelly Hunt, and she is now the second Tuesday person, or second Sunday person going through for the rest of the year, so we're happy to have her signed on. Thank you. I'm so happy today to present our speaker. He is a man that I've come to know quite well over the last year or so by reading about him. He's a new CEO and president of Unity Worldwide Ministries. He took Donna Johnson's job, for many of you who know her. But he's just an outstanding young person that has the right mindset and the right spirit to lead the Unity movement into a place where it needs to be. And so I'd like to bring him up here for his lesson today. It's the Reverend Groverland, Shad Groverland. Good to see you, buddy.
Well, for those of you that don't know, I spent 25 years of my life as a sound engineer. And what that does to you is curses you for the rest of your life with sound problems as a public speaker. So that's what it does. All right. Well, I am Reverend Shad Groverland. I am the Executive Director of Unity Worldwide Ministries. I do live at Unity Village, so I'm incredibly blessed to be on one of the holiest places on this planet as far as I'm concerned. Does anyone else agree? Absolutely. My office window stares at the fountains, so I just feel so incredibly blessed to look out there and see that. Well, I want to start off with something very serious to set the tone, so if we could have this first slide up. Life is about tackling big problems. But this watermelon-eating lemur has absolutely nothing to do with this talk. So let's get to the real tone setter for the talk. If we could have the next slide up. Know thyself. This is an ancient Greek aphorism. I'm sure most of you have heard it. If you haven't, welcome to the modern age and history. This is a powerful insight. And it's going to be the foundation for this talk, so I invite you to just let it kind of simmer in the back of your mind as you're going through this process. I want to start off by sharing with you some growing pains, or what you might actually call a crisis of faith, that I had back around in 2014. At that time, I was minister of Unity of Las Vegas, which is in Las Vegas, Nevada. And this will be a look into my spiritual process, into my thinking at that time as I was going through this experience in my life. So I thought I was going to share that with you today. It started when I attended a very large interfaith gathering, which was actually a panel discussion in a room maybe roughly this size without the balcony. This event happened to be at a Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints temple in Las Vegas. And the panel included speakers from paganism, Buddhism, humanism, Sikhism, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, since they hosted it, and Christian Science was also represented in this panel discussion. Now, let me preface what I'm about to say with this, so you get an idea of where I was. It was a great, powerful, very informative experience to be a part of, very eye-opening experience to be a part of. But you must also understand that I come to an event like that as a spiritual teacher myself, as a spiritual leader myself. So I have a slightly different perspective than some of the other people that might have been sitting there that day. And as a spiritual leader, I'm always looking at ways to awaken and enlighten myself more, but also what can I bring back to my community to help them awaken and enlighten a little bit more. I point that out because something interesting and unexpected happened that day at that event. A very complicated feeling came over me, one which I spent time trying to get a hold of for actually several weeks after the event. So it started at the event and it held with me for weeks after the event. It was very difficult to put my finger on. I had this feeling, but I couldn't put my finger on what that feeling was. Eventually, I landed on describing it this way. What is the point of all of this? That was the best way I could describe it when I finally got my finger on it. So let's roll it back a bit so I can try to better explain. So there I was sitting in the temple of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. We had been just given a tour of the beautiful grounds out there in Las Vegas, and we sung a hymn together, and now we were seated in the small congregational chapel outside the main chapel, because we were not allowed in the main chapel. You have to go in the small chapel outside. And now the panelists took the stage, and they were getting ready to answer this question. How do you apply your religion or faith in daily life? This is a very insightful question to ask this very diverse group of spiritual leaders. Had some very fascinating answers that unfolded, very eye-opening. The first answer was a female leader from paganism. And she talked about paganism and our connection to the power of the earth and the moon and nature and the cycles of life. She talked with our oneness with all life and how we're all interconnected with all things and all beings. And she talked about the necessity of us getting out into and connecting with nature. And I really resonated with what she had to say. And I thought to myself, this sounds like me. Maybe I'm a pagan. Well, and then a woman spoke for Buddhism. She shared with us the importance of meditation and spiritual practice, oneness with all life again, and going within and connecting with our own Buddha nature. That really resonated with me when she said that. And I thought to myself, this sounds like me. Maybe I'm a Buddhist. Then a gentleman who was a humanist leader shared with us that humanists are atheists, but different in that they believe in an inherent goodness that flows throughout all life and all humanity. He talked about how we can be good, serving people with or without God, with or without religion. He also emphasized our duty to try to leave this planet in better shape than we came to it in this lifetime. I really resonated with what he was saying, and I thought to myself, this sounds like me. Maybe I am a humanist. Well, now the microphone was passed down to a gentleman who spoke about what it means to be Sikh, which I was not really very familiar with at all. In Sikhism, all religions are respected, and they believe there is only this one life we get to live. So we must live it to the absolute fullest in the time we have, and fullest by putting others first in our lives in every way we can, and that we should fight for the underprivileged and defend equality and truth. That really resonated with me, and I thought to myself, this sounds like me. Maybe I am Sikh. Next up was the leader from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints who spoke. He talked about the necessity of service in one's community, the importance of family and staying in contact and in touch with family. He talked about dedicated worship, faith, and spiritual structure that supports us in our spiritual growth. Well, I too believe and value service and dedication and family and faith and spiritual structure on the path, and so I thought to myself, this sounds like me. Am I a Mormon? Finally, a smiley woman from religious science spoke about how they actually embrace and support everything else that all the other leaders had said on stage. But she also added that religious science puts an emphasis on the connection between science and religion and faith, specifically on how science can be used to prove and support meditation and prayer and our spiritual practice and our ultimate connection as one. Well, this really sounded a lot like me, and I thought to myself, gosh darn, oh my goodness, maybe I belong in religious science. You get the gist of what's happening here? Go ahead. All right, so what is going on? Some of you may sit here and be thinking, well, of course he would feel this. Unity embraces the many paths to God, to truth. That is what we are all about. You are correct. But now let's crawl a bit deeper into my mind and my consciousness at that time so we can really get to the root of the issue, which, if you remember, I could only describe later on as this. What is the point of all this? Well, here I was, sitting there listening to the answers of these panelists as each one spoke. As a minister and a spiritual leader myself, I was imagining myself up there on stage as if I had been invited to be a part of that panel. I imagined myself sitting up there just about to answer this same question that they had answered. So now here we are in my imagination, and I'm getting ready to explain and define unity to this packed house of probably over 500, 600 people. Now here comes my turn, and I'm getting ready to answer the question, and I finally start to speak, and I say something to this effect. Unity is new thought, non-denominational, I guess. Bible, yes, but not like Bible. Jesus Christ, yes, but easy on the Jesus part. Embraces all religions, oneness for sure. Much like all these other religions, I guess, and prayer, meditation, affirmations. Butterworth, but not Mrs. Butterworth. Fillmores, lots of Fillmores. Christian, maybe. I heard myself give a wishy-washy, babbling response with a bunch of nice-sounding words that don't mean much of anything to anyone when mixed together like that. My words and descriptions lacked foundation, conviction, and clarity of purpose, and I was embarrassed to hear myself in my own head responding to the question. I honestly sat there feeling embarrassed, and later on I realized that was this really uncomfortable feeling I had sitting in that congregation as I felt embarrassed at how I was answering the question in my own mind. See, I felt grounded personally. I felt concrete and powerful and sure and direct and defined and clear about my understanding of unity. But the descriptive words I had been given, the words I had grown up with, the words I chose to use at that point in time did not translate to what I felt inside. And I know this is not just something that I've experienced myself. Many people throughout my ministry have come up to me and asked this very question. How do I explain unity to someone who doesn't know what it is? Has anyone else had this problem? If you haven't raised your hand, you haven't run into anybody else in your life yet. You will eventually have this problem. They wonder and will ask me, are we non-denominational? Are we New Thought? Are we New Age? Are we different from Unitarian Universalists or religious science or science of mind or divine science or Centers for Spiritual Living or Agape? And here is the question of all questions, asked time and time again, over and over again in my life and by many others in our movement. Are you Christian? Is unity Christianity? Anyone else ever been asked that question? I've been asked that question. Oh, some big hands in the back, almost launched through the ceiling. I'm going to throw your shoulder out when that thing went up there. Gotta be careful around here. Well, I can tell you Unity has struggled with this question since the inception of our movement. Our founders struggled with this question. They, in fact, used to come and meet in this area with other Christian leaders who would tell them, "You are not Christian. What are you doing here?" And one of the primary reasons that traditional Christianity we've been sort of confused with our relationship with traditional Christianity, is that it has a pretty strong stigma or stereotype of being closed-minded, judgmental, hypocritical, dogmatic, antiquated. And whether we agree with that or not really doesn't matter, because the perception is out there and that perception is widespread. So naturally, this is not a perception many want connected to unity, because we don't feel like we are attached to those words, that we relate to those words. And there lies the reason that we've spent so long in this awkward relationship with Christianity, sort of being there, sort of not being there, don't want to be dragged into the bad sides of it, want to embrace the good sides of it. But the issue of our identity, is it really about whether we are Christian or not? Remember how we started this talk, not with the watermelon eating lemur, but with know thyself. The question of whether we are Christian or not is really a small question, one which comes up short of addressing what is really a much bigger question. What is unity? In the beginning, our founders would quite plainly answer that it is practical Christianity, a deeper form of spiritual, metaphysical Christianity that is rooted in practical and applicable tools to help you improve your life today. At that time, that was a perfectly good, clear, focused, rooted answer to the question. But only because, as I see it, there was an element they had then that we do not have today. Those two. Our founders were the core of our movement. They were the pillar upon which it was built. They called themselves Christian. That is how they saw themselves. That is what they were. That may have been the what, but really more important is the who. Who were our founders? I would say they were two individuals authentically expressing Christ, authentically living the Christ life. And who they were, I think, is far more relevant for us today than what they were. So really the most important question for us today is not what, but who. You see, my internal struggle at that interfaith event at that day, I thought was a what problem. So I was asking what questions? What is unity? What am I as a unity minister? What is the point of all this? Initially, I came to the conclusion that I am Christian, but the type of Christian that Jesus likely actually intended us to be, not the type of Christian that the church later defined it to be. But now that I've had more time to sit with this and to sit with that feeling for years that initiated on that day, I think what attracted people to unity in those early days wasn't necessarily the aspects of Christianity that were being taught, not the new twist on Christianity that was being taught, not a deeper perspective of Christianity that was being taught, but rather what was attracting people to unity was the authenticity of those teaching it. They could have been teaching you how to bake cookies, and thousands of people would have been coming to be in their presence. They could have been teaching you how to vacuum carpets, and I think they would have packed this place, because the authenticity of who they were. And what has happened over time, and this is just my perception, you can take it or leave it, is that after they passed on, the message stuck around in unity. The words stuck around in unity. The what stuck around in unity. But gradually over time, the who began to fade out. The who being spiritually authentic people living as the Christ, not just talking about the Christ. I realize now more than ever that unity is not faced with an identity crisis, but rather an issue of being. Knowing thyself is not about discovering the best words to describe yourself. It is about stepping into the awareness of your true nature, the reality of who you are. Not the way you describe who you are, but the reality of who you are, and stepping into the reality of who you are. So now I see one of the issues with calling myself Christian is how that word is defined today. Christian, a person who believes in the teachings of Jesus Christ. Well, I don't know about you, but I'm pretty tired of people believing things they don't actually live. So maybe Christian is not the best word, but for some reason, I can't get it out of my head. I have tried so many times to say, you know what, that's just not the right word. And I've searched for other words all over the planet. And I've thought, what is it? We're rooted in the Bible. How could you not call it Christian? But that word's got so much stigma attached to it. It can't be. It's got to be Christian. It's not Christian. Well, our founders used the word Christian. Why wouldn't we use the word Christian? And I've gone back and forth and back and forth. I can't get away from the fact that our founders called themselves Christian. And they were not just believing in Christ, but they were actually living Christ. So I recently sat with that in meditation. And actually I had written most of this talk and realized I didn't have an ending to it. And Sunday was vastly and quickly approaching. So I sat with it in meditation. And what came to me are three letters, I-A-N. The suffix in the word Christian, I-A-N. What does that mean? It popped into mind the question, what does I-A-N mean? What is the meaning of I-A-N at the end of the word? Well, let's look up what this suffix means. Of, relating to, or resembling. I-A-N at the end of the word means in the likeness of. In the likeness of. So really, if you break down the word Christian, there is quite a different meaning than we know it to be today. Christian, one who is relating to, resembling in the likeness of Christ. One who is actually connected to Christ and showing up as Christ-like. Not just someone who believes that that's a possibility, not just someone who conceptually goes, yeah, I'm sure that could happen to somebody someday. Someone who's actually showing up as Christ-like. Do you see a slight difference there? From Christian to Christian. So the word Christian, or title Christian, or label of Christian, really has no meaning until we are Christ-like. It is an empty word until we are actually living into it. Until we are Christ-like. Until we are actually living and expressing the divine essence of God within us. that we happen to call Christ here in Unity. The same Christ essence that permeates all things and is called by so many different names around the world: Buddha nature, the Tao, prana, universal intelligence, flow, intuition, chi. It is not what we are that gives a word meaning, but who we are. So no matter what word we try to use to define ourselves, we really need to be more concerned with who that word is calling us to be. Who is that word calling us to be? Which we have so eloquently stated by Connie Fillmore, the great-granddaughter of our founders, in a letter she wrote entitled, "An Idea Whose Time Has Come." Just think about the title of that letter, "An Idea Whose Time Has Come." Does that sound like someone who sat down and said, you know what, I feel like the authenticity of our movement has left, and I feel like there is an idea whose time has come? In that letter, she broke Unity down into 5 basic ideas. She tried to simplify who we are into 5 basic ideas, which became later as known as our Unity's 5 basic principles. Number 5, she wrote as saying this: knowing and understanding the laws of life, also called truth, are not enough. A person must also live the truth that he or she knows. It is not the word Christian that connects Unity to the roots of our founders. It is living a spiritually authentic life that does. That is the connection to our roots and the pillars. Living a Christ life is what our founders were doing and intending us to do, and put into so many books, into so many writings, into so many publications to try to pass down the tools for us to do that. Not for us to just repeat the words they were saying, but to actually be the people they were being. That was the point of it all. Becoming who our founders were, not just repeating what they were saying. So we have a great opportunity with us today to step into the beingness of this movement. To not just study the teachings, but actually step into the beingness of this movement, because that is the most powerful aspect that we have to share with the world. And that was the reason that our founders were able to attract so many people, and that is the exact same thing that will allow us today to attract so many people, will be the authenticity of our being. When they meet an usher at the front door, the authenticity of that being. When they sit next to someone at a pew, the authenticity of that person sitting there. When they join a prayer group or a small study group, the authenticity of the people sitting there. When they watch online, they will feel the authenticity of those speaking and of those watching and those who are part of this movement. That is what's going to change our planet. Not the words written in the pages, the authenticity of the people involved. And that is a truth as I experience it. Thank you. So we're going to practice how we get authentic by doing some meditation. So I invite you to take a deep breath, and as you exhale, if you can comfortably just close your eyes, allow your shoulders to relax. Sit with your spine straight if possible. No matter where you are in time or space, online, in person, is irrelevant. Because we're dropping into the space of connection that doesn't recognize distance, separation. Allow yourself to tune out whatever distractions might be around you. Drop in to the focus of the breath, allowing it to become just a bit slower with each one. Not through effort or force, but simply through letting it. Thank you, breath. I allow you to relax. Thank you, my heart, for all you do unceasingly for me. I allow you to relax. Thank you, limbs, supporting me, assisting me, moving me along. I allow you to relax. Thank you to my core, my intestines, my digestion, my gut, constantly working to nourish me, to bring me energy. I thank you. I allow you to relax. And oh, my friend, the mind, constantly trying to figure out a better way for me to experience life. You try so hard. I thank you. But believe it or not, you too are allowed to relax. As a united family, I sit here as something I call me. The makeup of my body and my thoughts, my identity. I call them all in this moment and I say, you're allowed to relax. I feel a sense of release. A sense of calm, as if watching the waters on a lake slowly turn to glass. I feel more free. As waves of gratitude wash over me for all the blessings I have in this life, I just feel so free. I have no want. 'Cause in this moment I feel complete. The concept of needing to be right doesn't even exist. I just am. It just is. The idea of worry is laughable at this point. There's nothing out to get me. There's only support. I realize that now. There is an infinitely abundant universe just waiting to bless me forward. I feel that now. I feel more free, unrestricted by the things I've been told throughout life by those that really don't know. Unrestricted by the mold that others have created and tried to fit me into, that they really don't know what they're doing either. I feel free, released of all those things I've piled on because other people said, you absolutely need to have this. And they had no idea why they had it either. And I let it go. and I feel free. And there's something special about this feeling of free. I want to share it with others, not by telling them, but by showing it to them in the way that I live. Unburdened by fear or doubt or worry. I don't have to tell them that's what I've done. I want to be so free and so me, they can't help but recognize how happy I am. They can't help but feel the faith I have in my experience, the trust in the process, the lack of attachment to the outcomes. Others can't help but feel that emanating from me because there's a weightlessness to it. I don't even have to be concerned about whether they're getting it or not. Something feels so right about being authentically me. I just know they'll want to stand with me. It's not my concern. When I let go of all those things I don't need, those thoughts, those feelings that have been put upon me by the delusion of life, I just simply let them go and I stand authentically as me. There is an attraction. Life literally can't wait to bless me. I feel that now. I know that now. I hold on to it. Not as in something that could get away, but that's something I want to not forget. I hold on to it. And as I begin to transition myself out of this time of meditation, I don't for 1 second let go of what I've now just realized. No matter what appears to be happening in the world as I now move forward to face it, there is an authentic me that exists without fear, free from suffering, free from desire, free from a need to be right, because I've found me, and all that has become unnecessary. With another deep breath, I allow myself to settle back into this time and space, to this body that I am so grateful has been given to me on this journey. And so it is. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. Thank you.
Let it breathe on me. Let it breathe on me. Let the breath of the Lord now breathe on me. Let it breathe on me. Let it the breath of the Lord, now breathe on me.
Life is shaped by who we say we've come here to be. Create in me. The door is open if we are willing to walk consciously. Create in me. My wildest dreams come true, and I see the same for you. The only moment we ever have is right now. You see, create in me. The door is open if we are willing to walk consciously. Create in me. Anything is possible now, and everything our mind will allow. Life is shaped by who we say we have come here to be. Create in me. Oh, anything is possible now, and everything our minds will allow. Oh, my wildest dreams come true, and I see the same for you. Life is shaped by who we say we've come here to be. Create in me.
Thank you. Well, this is part of the service that we call gratitude. We don't pass the offering anymore, but if you'd like to contribute to this church and what goes on here, there is a basket out there. You can leave your check as you go, or cash if you'd like. With gratitude, we just take a moment to think of something in our life that is relevant at this particular time that we have deep gratitude for. And today we do it for the Irish, for many different reasons. There's a fellow named Ian Byrne that I met several years ago, and he is the head of our favorite band called The Elders. He's done many of the woodwork around here. He does fabulous things for altar furnishings. And we were lucky, as the Elders were retiring, they chose to do one of their last performances here at Unity Temple, which is really small for them because usually they attract 5,000 to 10,000 people. But they did it here, and PBS filmed it. and it was broadcast all over the country. So today, as a tribute to our favorite Irish band and to all the Irish out there, I present to you the Elders.
We're in a beautiful, holy place, holy from hearts and souls from all around the world and from whatever religion you may be. So we're going to start off appropriately with a song called St. Kevin. Here we go. Down a path, see a sign for Lynham's pub and Glendalough this way. Well, he steps in with caution and look around. The boys from Clara and Lara just in from Bale and Hay. Yeah! Well, he's seated in the corner, sipping a drop of the black stuff and whiskey. They're begging him a cheers. Well, then steps Tony Murphy, and with a smile he tips a glass. He tells him of the years. They come from all the nations to hear the story told, like the fog that comes around the hills, and like the death they do behold. Your words still speak a promise, forever they will flock. The valley, the tower, the church and the lakes, the vale of Glendalough. Of the legends, Father Cronin always said an angel child was he. The truth is all written in Acta Sanctorum. Let's have another glass when I'll drink a pint with thee. We talked on into the night. The barman said it's time, me lads, so we stepped out in the cold. Well, in the moonlight as the rain was lashing down, we danced a merry jig with Kosovo. To hear your story told, like the fog that comes around the hills, life and death they do behold. Your words still speak a promise, forever they will flock. The valley, the tower, the church and the lakes, the vale of Glendalough.
Our gratitude goes out to Ian Byrne and the elders. And Ian, if you're watching this, our love goes out to you as well as your wonderful wife, Kathy. So we now close the service with the prayer for protection and then join together in singing the peace song. So together, the light of God surrounds us, the love of God enfolds us, the power of God protects us, and the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Please join with me in the peace song.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be with God as creator. Family, all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joy vow. To take each moment, live each moment, peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Will I walk in love, stand in fear? Well, it's up to me. Will I tell a lie or be sincere? It's up to me. Or will I live the life I was born to live? It's up to me. Or will I hang on tight, or will I give? You know it's up to me. It's up to me. Well, it's up to me. You know that it's all up to me. Now will I hide my heart or let it show? Oh, it's up to me. Will I stay put or will I go? I know it's up to me. Will there be regrets on the day I die? It's up to me. Or will I spread my golden wings and fly? Yes, it's up to me. It's up to me. Well, it's up to me. Don't you know that it's all